Good morning. It is Thursday. It is my time to sound off on Ben and the Fed. You know, last week they had the so-called stress test for all the banks. And, you know, I find this to be rather an embarrassment, and I think that it's kind of silly to what goes on. But here you have the Fed, which continues to infuse capital into the banking system, allowing all of the banks to continue to get rid of all of their toxic assets while borrowing money at zero from the Fed and giving it back to the U.S. government at 2 and 3% in 10 and 30-year notes and bonds. Now the problem I see here is that, and it's been published, that the policies in which we are under are only helping the Mr. Potters of the world, for those of you who like my It's a Wonderful Life analogy, or it's only helping the rich. This is not helping the average Joe, the average American, in succeeding in their business. All we're doing here is we're infusing all this capital and allowing the rich to capitalize and get richer. They are taking all of the bad debt that the banks put together through this time, and by keeping a low interest rate policy, they are preventing the liquidity of the system to borrow money for the average American to go take a loan. For the average small business, it's very challenging for them to go out and borrow money. And I think this is something that we have to take note of, because the markets are being sustained and pushed upon by people that are being forced in because of the chase for yield, or from the extremely wealthy who have the ability to borrow money at low rates and then come back into a market that's yielding a much higher rate. I think it's a total slap in the face as to policy, as to what's going on, because I do not think that it's benefiting the people that it's supposed to be, which is the average Joe. Now, if we took all of this money, instead of bailing the banks out of all their bad loans that they made, if they put it into what we would call the war effect into the system and allowed the people that are not working, the industrial workers who lost their jobs, who cannot really be retrained into new fields, if we put them to work rebuilding America, and instead of bailing out all the toxic assets that the banks have given out, if we put them back to work and allow people to work, wouldn't that stimulate the economy? Wouldn't that create a better society? Wouldn't rising interest rates free up liquidity to allow people to borrow money who really need it and not continue to give the money to those who don't? In other words, why should Mr. Potter be the only benefactor of what's going on in the system, when we can take care of the entire country by doing other things and creating the war effect and allowing the system to free up liquidity? For my editorial comment, this was Thursday. This is the Bubba Show. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you on Friday's Commodity Corner.